That one. Up. That's everybody. These two in front. I mean, we get what we get. Ain't a whole lot of choice we have. All right. Connecting. All right, go ahead and.
Probably not.
Okay, crap. I hope there's enough. Should be enough to record.
What space?
Yeah, should be.
Don't we need a? Remove?
I guess not.
How do we?
You gotta know what they're saying.
Right, we talk about.
I mean, that's people are gonna show up in there.
You got a presentation too?
No, where's video conference so everybody can watch it.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Oh, let me get my fingers out of the way.
You want to rejoin again?
Don't matter.
Just to make sure. That's the problem.
No, I just got to pin that video.
Okay.
If I pin that,
Then I'll
that should keep that. And I'll go back.
check it on the computer.
Do you want to go to your computer and log in?
Yeah, because there you turned it back.
They didn't block off my favorite seat, so I'm gonna go get into it.
I wish I had the money for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Get on the
I got a patriotic.
You got a patriotic. I want to match. We're gonna give him an all.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Get him all.
Hey, man, Jackie. I saw somebody in Publix the other day. It had a big, like, weird. Yeah, like that. Like I would think that Publix, they're kind of big. And I would figure somebody would have a problem with that. He's weird. I'm getting ready to say a prayer in church or something now. I got a mic that's loose, you know, my mic ain't even put together.
Well, you can do the prayer. We got a preacher.
Yeah. Is that the one that you
Yeah, we might have to let back.
Well, I'm gonna roll it first.
Yes.
It's been a little bit. Brotherly love. I'm be heard. My mouth, you know. It carries.
You're not saying a word.
Brotherly love.
I don't necessarily need a microphone either.
Sir? Yeah, well, how are you? Hey. One day, Curtis here, it took longer than one day. Everybody over there, I don't know.
Well, hey, there's
One of y'all gotta move.
You just want to be me today?
One of y'all gotta
Well,
move.
Doug,
that's
you
where
coming
you
down
sent me.
here?
I didn't know you was coming. Look you down there, yeah. Engineer.
But they can slide side to side a little bit.
Where's the bar?
Good, how you doing?
What y'all do there? Y'all move these things? Yeah, we wanted you, they can sit right there together, wherever he was. Okay, where did he have you?
Everybody's here, as long as Doug comes down.
Somebody had my name up there. Why don't I sit right there?
Peter, they moved all the name stuff around, where did you have everybody?
Doug,
Did you have Doug and Curtis up here?
No, I didn't, Curtis wasn't here before.
His name.
Well, he's a commissioner.
Hello, Curtis.
I'm sorry, but his name tag wasn't there.
Oh, well, he's gotta be here.
Well, Marcus, why don't you just sit the other end of this table? Is this gonna be in your? Yes.
I'll sit out there.
No.
I'm trying to help out.
I understand, that's where you are, that's where you are. You're always so helpful. Next thing you know, you'll say, I'll just go to the house. Thank you for your help. Okay. All right, Marcy, where do you go?
Are you gonna sit there?
I'm gonna sit here.
Because it's gonna be right in the way of the,
There. There.
Projection.
Move back around there, because Barkley's gonna sit, well, now he's.
No,
All right, never mind, y'all decide.
You just got here.
I'm glad this isn't on video. Yeah,
it's already
video.
It might be live.
This is Ned and the first reader.
Yeah.
Can you see, can they see around you?
Yeah.
Oh, it is live? Great.
that's, nobody's on,
Good.
except,
Nah. We got 2 minutes. I'm upstairs. I got all the pins. I guess they went to clean. Anybody got a pin? Extra pin? That's extra. Oh, you go, Curtis. You got it. You got it. You got it. I'm not used to this. It will see you over there.
She's watching you.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we'll call to order the regular session of the Houston County Commission for June 8th, 2020. We do have a quorum as all commissioners are in attendance. We want to welcome those of you that are here in attendance and any of you that may be watching online. Our invocation today will be led by Commissioner Pastor Harvey, and Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Singfield, if you'll all stand.
That's great. Father God, we thank you for this day, oh God. Thank you for waking us up early this morning, watching over our families all night long. Thank you, oh God, for your sovereign hand steady being upon this nation, leading us back, oh God, into your arms again. God, I pray right now for the leadership, oh God, throughout this entire nation, oh God. Continue to breathe upon us, oh God, right decision making, oh God, keep us safe from all harm and life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
justice for all.
Commissioners, for getting us started in a proper manner. You each received copies of the minutes from the last two meetings, if you want to special meeting. I have a motion by Commissioner Harvey to approve. Second by Commissioner Shue. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Doug? Behind you. Behind you. There you go. You'll sign those and pass them over. All in favor say aye. Thank you. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, announcements and comments. Anything from Commissioner? You want to add that to the agenda? Okay. Commissioner Harvey is requesting that we add to the agenda an appointment, a vacancy that he has on the Water Authority. Number 16, yeah. Any objection to that? If you check to make sure he meets all. Anybody object to adding that to the agenda? All right. Okay, a couple things. One, obviously we are still operating under somewhat different conditions, a little more open than last meeting. We did post this meeting, the agenda, asked for anyone that had comments or questions concerning agenda items or wanted to submit any comments for privileges of the floor to do so. None were submitted, so we don't have any comments to bring forth today. We are limiting attendance at the meetings to only those that have items on the agenda. I think next meeting we will hopefully have an item from Ashford Chamber, and we'll allow them to come to the meeting. We're not allowing the meeting, nor the building really for that matter, is open to the general public, so we will have two meetings in June, at least that's the plan. So we're not opening those meetings to the general public. Our hope and our plan is that as of the end of this order, the governor's order, I think runs out July 3rd. You might know for sure if that's right. I believe that's right. The media back there, thank you for keeping us straight. Media is telling us that's correct. So we hope as of the 1st of July to go back to normal meeting procedures and, for that matter, normal activity in this building. Now, we'll see normal activity being as far as coming in to do business. I think we'll probably still be monitoring who comes in and temperature and that kind of thing, but we'll just have to see what the state does. But we're still very much encouraging everyone to mask. As you saw, most all of us had masks on. Everyone entering the building, we ask to mask. We encourage everyone that goes out in public to continue to mask and distance. I know our attention has been diverted, but we still have a serious issue ongoing with COVID, and we need to not let that slip from our minds. So we'll continue to be doing the things that we are doing here in the county. We've expanded the hours. The lines are moving quicker. The staff downstairs, including probate and revenue and sheriff's, the folks are doing an excellent job of getting people through, and we continue to try to serve as quickly and as adequately as we can. On another note, I do want to commend everyone that has been involved in the peaceful demonstrations at the courthouse the last 2 weeks, and the sheriff's department for working, and others, I think, for working with them. We have certainly seen the opposite of that in many of our other localities around, and we we are thankful for the people in Dothan and Houston County and the Wiregrass that have done things the way they should do. And I'm sure you've been working directly with them and your staff, and we just appreciate, there's ways to get your message across without losing the message in the actions. And I think that is going on in some places, and we just appreciate those, and I've had communication with them, and we're thankful that we have the people in our community that we do. So we pray that, as Commissioner Harvey said, we pray that soon calmness will prevail in our state and nation, and we'll get on about our lives in a normal manner. Any other announcements from the commission or anything you all need us to say? Yes, sir, Commissioner Singh.
Let folks know we do have the farmers markets are opening in places, and especially in Ashford, they open from 7 to 11 on Saturday. So pick up some good fresh produce in different places here in Dothan also.
Okay. I think, yes, they're open every Saturday in June and July, isn't that right?
Yes.
In Ashford and Dothan, and I'm sure other places. Yeah. So, lots of fresh produce out there. Just when you go to the farmer's market, wear your mask.
It was told, I was out there at the moment, they told me I couldn't buy peaches. What was that about though?
I don't know. Wow. There weren't any peaches
It
that
said
said.
they're not allowed to sell peaches. I didn't understand that.
Oh. Yeah, that's interesting. I do not know.
Doug, you heard me?
No, I didn't.
So it wasn't allowed to sell peaches. What is that about? They can't sell peaches.
That's the first I've heard.
Yeah.
Commissioner, I don't know. Because I bought some Saturday, I hope you all right.
Right by there.
He was in Ashford probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won't let them sell them here in Dothan.
Huh.
I thought it was strange.
I'm good. I like it.
It's a cobbler term. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
All right, we will move on to our regular agenda. The first item on the agenda is a request to adopt a resolution for Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Program. By the way, since we don't have an admin meeting, we'll operate under our rules that allow a little discussion in advance of the motion if necessary. But this is a normal and customary annual item that I believe ADM requires. Is that right, Barkley? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay. This is Jerry Richards handling this, but we didn't ask him to be here today. Anybody have any questions about this? This is for the wastewater plant down at the park. Down at the distribution park. Questions, motions? Motion by Commissioner Singfield to approve. Second by Commissioner Harris. Comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, request to enter into a temporary change in the pricing arrangement with the jail meal provider. I'm gonna let Peter explain that a minute before we go too far. And you may want to get over closer to that mic so she can get you on.
Thank you, Chairman. What this is we were notified by letter from our meal provider, Trinity Services, for our jail, that due to the low population down at the jail, that they are not able to cover their fixed costs, and they were running a deficit on the program. We discussed this with the county attorney, and the county attorney said there is a precedence for, under special circumstances, for a temporary change order to be permitted under an awarded bid. We have been in discussion with Trinity, and we've worked out an arrangement where, for a short period of time, we will allow them to charge us more than what was in the bid award. However, as the population in the jail gets back to a normal level, the pricing will reduce to the point where I'm estimating by the end of this temporary period, which is scheduled to end in September 30th, that we actually will maybe spend a little less than we had forecasted in the bid process.
Okay, so this is a temporary amendment, because of the excellent job our law enforcement and judicial system have been doing during this difficult time in keeping people out of our jail.
Yes.
As a side note, I would think there's some concern about that changing now, but we hope not, but there certainly is concern about that, yeah. Going up, yeah.
We are starting to see it go that way.
Yeah. So this is temporary while the population is down, and there is a level that it will, should it reach, it would go back to the old number.
Yes.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions regarding that or motions that we can discuss?
Question. Make a motion.
Yeah, make a motion first if you don't mind.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Shute, second by Commissioner Harvey. Now discussion. Questions?
What's the temporary price going to change to?
It's a tiered structure. Currently, before any change, we're paying just under 91 cents a meal. It's 90.9 cents a meal. It will go up to $1 a meal for a population up to, I think it's 250 inmates. And then the next tier, it goes to 94 cents a meal for the next 100 inmates. And then at 400 or 350, I think, or 351, it goes back to the original 90.9. But as the population goes up, the price goes down even further.
Other questions? Comments from any of y'all?
No, this is the county.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about this? You good, Fred?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3 is a request for a budget amendment for 2020A and 2020B bond payments scheduled to begin in August 2020. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you, Chairman. This is, as you may recall, we did a 2020 bond refinance and new monies for Rebuild Alabama back in February, just before the COVID-19 issue struck. You approved the actual issuance of the warrants bonds, but this is to approve for the payments that will commence under those bonds now that they've been executed, which will begin in August.
Okay, so this is actually the approval to pay the people that bought the bond.
Correct.
Okay, they probably want us to do that. Questions, comments, motions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
First by Commissioner Herring, second by Commissioner Singfield. Discussion?
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
In the law, the Rebuild Alabama law stipulates that we can't spend over 50% of the monies for debt payments, and now since the COVID thing and people are driving less and we have less revenue, does that impact? I mean, we've already taken out these bonds, so how does that impact?
Excellent question. And we don't yet have an update on the forecast, at least as of last week. I didn't have an update on the forecast on the Rebuild Alabama monies to be able to estimate that. But this morning, there was an email that came out that said that they're expecting to be down 30%. So now that I have that information, I can sort of mash through that estimate. I don't have that for you yet.
But we will make whatever adjustments necessary to be sure. We had some room when we did the
Yes, sir.
when we did the bond issue to we weren't right at the 50%. We had some room there, so we got some play.
If you look at the amount of the Rebuild Alabama bond that we're looking to that you guys just approved, the $90,000, just so that you put that in a reference, this is just interest, not principal and interest, but the principal wouldn't be due until, principal and interest payment won't be due until February. This is $90,000. So far to date, we've received just over $500,000 in Rebuild Alabama money. So even at $250, it'll cover our obligation. It will cover half of the obligation for this easily. And so we're not going to have an issue. Now, we can talk about what, say it's 250 that we have available minus the 90, that leaves, 140, is 160, I'm sorry, 160. What happens with that 160? That does roll over. So that 160, even though it's collected in this year, it does roll over. We can use it against the payment in February. So I'm not anticipating yet that it's going to cause any issues now, but now that the Rebuild Alabama money has been projected to be 30% down, that may have a trickle effect in maybe as far out as February 2021, but I can't project that yet.
But also now, we're not using the whole $5.3 million now.
Yeah.
It's gonna take 2 to 3 years to do it. So,
Have you got a microphone over there?
no.
Okay, if you want to talk, you're going to have to come to the microphone. Future reference. All right, any other questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4, request to award inmate transport bid to Viking International Security. Major is already there. You look up and he's already there.
Yes.
You're so quick.
I try.
Rapid.
Chairman, Commission, this is a non-budgeted item for the Sheriff's Department. Through working with Chairman Culver and Mr. Dempsey when he was here. We do the transports, and it does come through the Sheriff's Department for transporting inmates from prisons, from out of state, back to Houston County. The funds are reimbursed to the county commission for this, so this is more like a pass-through, I guess you could sort of say. We had trouble with the previous company, especially when the COVID hit. They were losing people left and right. Their contract was up. We rebid. The only company that did send the bid in is Viking. They have been working for us and have been doing very well. We've not had any issues or problems. Again, whatever the charges are, and they do vary per inmate. Also, the classification of the inmate, murder suspects won't be more than someone that committed a theft of first degree. But these funds are reimbursed back to the county commission in full by the state. But we are asking that you accept Viking as the company to use right now for the transport of inmates.
And you said it, but just to reiterate, we have been using them some and are happy with their services.
Yes, sir. They picked up when the other company couldn't go. We had to have somebody to fall back on. They've hit the ground running.
Any reason that you know of the other than, I mean, I'm assuming the price is competitive anyway.
The other company started losing manpower. The one we were currently using, they were turning down trips. They couldn't do it. They were given multiple opportunities to get the bid in because it was extended because of COVID. We never heard anything back from them. And this is the only company that came forth and had everything in time anyway.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Major Rafferty? Or motions? Shoot.
Second.
Commissioner Harris. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 5, request insurance reimbursement check be transferred to the Sheriff's Department for vehicle replacement.
Yes, sir. This vehicle that was damaged, or actually it's the insurance totaled it out and paid a check for $10,344, is a vehicle that Sheriff Valencia had purchased. It's not a county purchased vehicle. We've actually picked the vehicle up to replace it because of the need. And we're just asking that the check be transferred to the Sheriff's Department to be put in our funds. It's not a budgeted item, it's a transfer funds.
So the check was made to the.
It was made to the commission or to the county because all vehicles, whether the sheriff purchases them or the county commission does, is registered under the county by law.
All right, any questions, comments, or motions? Motion by Commissioner Singer, second by Commissioner Harvey. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6, request from Sheriff Valenza to discuss hiring 4 deputies for court security. Uh-oh.
We do. It won't be very long, but we do have a little presentation here.
Okay, we have nowhere to go.
This presentation won't take very long, but want to get all the facts out on why we're asking for what we're asking for.
And that's it. You can see that.
Okay. Houston County Sheriff's Department covers approximately 587 square miles of county. The thing that we need to keep in mind with the Sheriff's Department station is that not only do we cover the whole county, but we also handle cases, work cases, felony cases, answer calls, in every town that has a law enforcement agency. So we don't just cover the unincorporated areas of Houston County. We cover Houston County across the board. I think in 2010, the census said we had about 104,722. I know the numbers haven't come in yet for Houston County, but it's probably going to come in somewhere around 120,000. I think so, or just a little less maybe. But it's a very large increase. If you go to Wicksburg, you go to Rehoboth, you go to Hodgesville, it's growing crazy. The residential areas that are being put in, population is growing. And not only do we see it on the west side of the county, or what I call the west side of the county, we're also seeing it here in Dothan as well as on the east side of the county. So Dothan is going to continue to grow, which means we're going to continue to have issues, problems, and calls on that. If I can do this right. Okay. We have 2 day shift patrols because they do work 12-hour shifts. They're set up for 9 deputies. Right now, on first squad, which is Lieutenant Turner's squad, we're going to have instinct in this moment. We have 7 deputies assigned to it. Second squad, we only have 8. We're short. We have people that we've had to put in other places. We have them in school, or we're in the process of trying to hire them. To hire a deputy, an uncertified deputy, time we hire them, get them through the police academy, get them back trained through the FTO program, you're looking at 5 to 8 months before we can put them in a car and put them on their own to handle calls. Now, in dealing with a certified officer, you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, depending on the officer, his knowledge of our systems that we use, plus knowing the county and dealing with everything we have to deal with on the road. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it does when you're as busy as Houston County. So with that being said, this is what we're coming to you now. Court right now, even though we're not having criminal court, we're having to take our deputies put in court. And I'm going to let Lieutenant Turner talk to you a little bit here about the activities of day-to-day operations involving the patrol squad. Let's say this is just taking a minute.
I'm Lieutenant Turner with the Sheriff's Office. I run first squad day shift patrol. Lieutenant Ward and I, the other day shift lieutenant, we got together and we put down on an average what our typical days consist of Monday through Friday. Mondays we usually show up to work. I showed up today and I have 7 deputies assigned to my unit. That's including myself to work in patrol today. We have to support court liaison with 2 to 4 deputies every day that we come in and they're having court. And that takes out of our 7. And and we're having to provide those anywhere from 4 to 8 hours every day over there. As soon as Lieutenant Lee running the courthouse can get them out of there, he gets them out. But it's usually at least lunchtime before we get them back out of there and get them back on the patrol to use them. We have to transport 1 to 2 juveniles to either doctor's appointments for mental evaluations or medical reasons. We have 1 to 2 of those every day on Mondays, and they last 2 to 3 hours per transport. That I lose a deputy that has to take each one of those juveniles. We also on Mondays have to transport juveniles from Southeast Alabama Youth Diversion Center to Pathways, which takes 2 to 3 hours per transport. And we lose a deputy for that amount of time every time they go over. We also on Mondays have to transport mental health patients from Southeast Health, from the BMU up to Dale Medical Center for further treatment to prepare a room in Southeast Health BMU for when we have probate court date, so that we can, whoever Judge Davenport deems necessary to go to BMU, we have room in BMU to take them there. It's a constant rotation from beds to bed and facility to facility. And once we have them in our city, in our jurisdiction here, even if they're going to Dale County or Dale County to somewhere else, we're required to do that transport. Those transports take 2 to 3 hours per unit and per person that has to make that trip up to Dale County Medical. We're having to assign 1 deputy to the front door of the sheriff's office due to the COVID-19 situation. And we lose that deputy for 9 hours that day off of patrol. We're also having to relieve the 2 deputies at the administration tower here for their lunch, and we lose a deputy for 2 hours. We relieve them. Either we send 1 deputy up, they take an hour apiece and come back, which loses it for 2, or either we get 2 deputies up here for 1 hour and we lose 2 of them for that amount of time. We also have to deal with out-of-county warrant transports, and those are anywhere in the state. It can take us anywhere from 2 to 12 hours that we lose that deputy to go make that transport. Due to these things that happen on Mondays, this often leaves 0 to up to 2 deputies patrolling and answering calls for the citizens of Houston County for about 6 hours of the day. Any questions on Mondays? Yes, sir.
On a youth service diversion center, is that those that been say if they were a youth that was arrested in another municipality, that becomes our responsibility, other than that patrol unit that's in that municipality, to transport those youth?
I'm not sure. I know that we handle anybody that's there going for these that's in our court system. I would assume if they're arrested in another jurisdiction, they're on court in that jurisdiction.
We handle all transport, not just for Houston County and juveniles we put in for the city of Dothan. Anybody in Houston County, we pretty well take to their psychologicals, to their medicals, to whatever. And understand the diversion center is basically, even though it is set up for the other counties that's involved, they have 1 bed, maybe sometimes 2. The rest of it belongs to Houston County. And I say Houston County, I'm talking about in all municipalities as well as city government.
We follow every order of the court.
It's more for y'all to have to take care of.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Any other questions on Monday, John? Yes, sir. Tuesdays, some of these days we have the same issues, so I'll breeze through those. We still have to support court liaison with 2 to 4 deputies, 4 to 8 hours a day. We transport 1 to 2 juveniles for doctor's appointments and mental evaluations, which take 2 to 3 hours for transport. Transport juveniles from the diversion center to Pathway, 2 to 3 hours for transport. The big one that gets us on Tuesdays is we also have to transport juveniles from Southeast Alabama Diversion Center to the Department of Youth Services and the Mount Meigs campus. Sometimes that's 1 juvenile, sometimes it's multiple, and it takes us anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to make that trip to get there and get back. Still transporting mental health patients from Southeast Health to Dale Medical for further treatment, 2 to 3 hours per transport. Another deputy at the front door of the sheriff's office for 9 hours, relieving the admin tower, losing 1 for 2 hours, and out-of-county warrant transport from 2 to 12 hours, still leaving us 0 to 2 deputies patrolling and answering calls in Houston County for about 6 hours a day. Any questions on Tuesdays? Wednesdays, we support court liaison with 2 to 4 deputies. and we transport between 2 and 10 mental health patients to probate court for hearings. Once we get them to court for the hearings, we then have to transport that patient either to Southeast Health BMU, one of the Spectra Care Health System facilities, or we take them back to their residence, depending on what the ruling is from Judge Davenport in that court. This takes 4 to 6 hours of multiple deputies. Every mental health transport that we have to go pick up and bring to Judge Davenport's courtroom, we have to provide 2 deputies to go to that person's residence, pick them up and take them into custody and bring them to court. Sometimes that's an easy feat. Sometimes it takes 20 or 30 minutes to convince this person that they've got to go see Judge Davenport because they don't want to go, they're not in the right mental status, very hard to communicate with. And for officer safety reasons, we require 2 to go every time. Some of our patients, we take more than 2 because we've dealt with them enough times that we do everything we can to keep having to have a physical altercation with them and get them to court peacefully. Still assign 1 to the front door of the sheriff's office, admin tower, and out-of-county warrants, often leaving 0 to 2 deputies patrolling and answering calls. And on these court dates, depending on how many they have, we could have 0 out there for 2 to 3 hours that we have any deputies actually available to answer a call if it comes out. Thursdays, we support court liaison again. We transport 1 to 2 juveniles to doctor's appointments for the mental evaluations or medical reasons. Transporting juveniles from the Diversion Center back over to Pathway. Transporting mental health patients from Southeast Health to Dale Medical. Still got 1 deputy at the front door of the sheriff's office, relieving the 2 at the admin tower for lunch, and our out-of-county warrants still puts us at 0 to 2 deputies for at least 6 hours of the day. Fridays, supporting court liaison with 2 to 4. We usually get lucky on Fridays, and it's only the 2 deputies. That's a good day for us. Still transporting 1 to 2 juveniles for mental health evaluations for medical reasons. Juveniles to Pathway, mental health patients from Southeast Health to Dale Medical, and assigning a deputy front door to the sheriff's department and out-of-county warrants for 2 to 12 hours. Still leaving 0 to 2 deputies patrolling for about 6 hours a day.
Yes, sir. What the schools are closed? What are the resource officers? What are they doing?
The school resource officers are assisting us right now. And that's really what's saving us and making us be able to function. I put this together because we see an upcoming event that's going to hit us drastically, and that's when the courts, their projected date to start back in September. The schools start back in August. So August, we lose those resource officers, and we're down to this every day. And when the courtrooms start back, we have 5 in court right now that work those courtrooms. But when they start back in September, they're planning on running all 8 courtrooms. Plus, you've got to have someone at the front door running the X-ray and metal detector, plus 1 down doing the COVID-19 stuff, which puts us at 10 deputies. They only have 5. So when that starts, you're going to have to pull those 5 from patrol division to support court every day. And when the resource officer's not there, that's going to pull out of my 7. I have a full squad today. That's every one of us. That's 7. 5 are going to be in the courthouse working court. 2 of us on the road to have to try to make all of these things here happen, and it's impossible. We've gotten by with school resource officers by luck and the grace of God, and this happening the way it has, but we're not going to be able to function come September. And in order to have anybody assigned to my squad to work in September, we got to hire them now because it's going to take 5 to 8 months to get them ready. It's not a hire them and put them to work and they fill a spot. It's either getting an academy spot ready so they can go to the academy, which we depend on the state to have those schedules when they're available. And then it's a matter of finding the right person for the job, not just hiring anybody and everybody. They get qualified people to do the job, and then they come back from there and they go through the FTO process. It takes a long time.
You know, the meeting we were in with the judges, I believe the Alabama Supreme Court's coming open them back up September 14th. They're going to have a criminal jury trial every week for the rest of the year. And that's going to put a hamper on us also, especially when these officers go back. Like we said, we got 5 circuit, 2 district, a probate, and a juvenile referee. So we're looking at, on high-risk capital murder trials, murder high risk, we have to put 2 SRT officers in court. And sometimes they come off patrol, sometimes they have to come out of CID, but we still have to assign them full-time to court as long as that courtroom is open.
Okay, a little bit from 16 to 19, you're going to see the numbers, how they've changed. 2019, Houston County Sheriff's Office had 58,394 calls. 85,479 came into our dispatch for that year. We did 6,134 reports, criminal charges. What happened? I didn't think so. All right. Criminal charges, and while Peter's bringing that up, was 5,210. We made 3,366 arrests.
Still with the HCSO regulation population.
Time out. Sounds like it's like yeah, that's not a good sign.
That's not good.
No idea.
I want to go ahead and continue, even while you're working on that.
Yeah,
Stephanie up here. That's her computer.
Please continue.
Okay. You know, one of the biggest complaints that we have in Houston County that involves our patrol division is traffic on these back roads, county roads. 2016, not that we're big on writing citations, but 2016, we issued 1,067 citations. 2019, we did 752. These guys don't have time to work these back roads, and I get complaints out there where I live constantly by neighbors, and I say that this is what. Yes, sir. So it is an ongoing situation, but when you don't have people out in the county being able to resolve that, our numbers have really went up in accidents out in the county, and unfortunately, a lot of them have been very critical accidents. So it affects us all the way across the board when we don't have what we need. You know, here's something that really has went up too. In 19, our criminal investigation unit, the investigators worked 946 felony cases. That don't include any misdemeanor cases, or very few, but these are felony cases, high priority cases, and you're looking at over 100 per investigator. That doesn't seem right, but when you work a major case, that averages out about 2.5 to 3 days a case. Some cases take a lot longer than that. It was 2 weeks to find a man bond and $20,000 in overtime. So cases, you know, our citizens deserve their cases to be worked, us doing our jobs that we're paid to do. Okay? We had, in 2016, 408 domestic violence cases. 2019, we had 511. And this year, I truly believe that they're going to be above that, especially with the COVID. We've seen a very large, high rise in that. But here's something that really bothers me. 2016, we had 111 sex offenders that we had to keep up with. 2019, we had 411. And the numbers have went up. In 2019, our civil unit served 35,249 civil papers. We received $37,719, but we were able to execute 35,000. These are for people to be in court, be here, be there. Not only, it's not just evictions or small claims, but this has to be done, and the state has put that responsibility on us, so we have to serve. Okay. I've been very lucky for the last, since Sheriff Valens has been in office, to be part of dealing with the budget, which allowed me to deal directly with the commission, with Mr. Dempsey, and now with Mr. Pope. I've learned a lot, probably too much. But the one thing I'm going to tell you, and this is true, and I'm not just saying it, Sheriff Valenza has stated he wants to be a good conservator of the taxpayers' dollars. And we're not going over budget. We're not going over budget. We're going to turn money back in. We're going to do with what we have. And that's what he has done and what we have done at the Sheriff's Department. He inherited the 2014-2015 budget. He returned to the Houston County Commission at the end of the year on paper through budget funds, $47,331. 15-16, $462,394. 16-17, $238,043. 2017-18, $90,586. And in 18-19, we turned in $295,995. Since Sheriff Valenza has been in office, he has $1,134,349 that has been turned back into this commission, and he has not been over budget on his allowance for the Sheriff's Department jail. And this is not a gig, Chairman or Commissioner. Alabama law 36-22-18 states that it's the responsibility of the county commission to provide vehicles, repairs, maintenance. That's all in the law. I mean, that's what it says. But we've also known that things have been tight. So Sheriff Valenza has taken office. He has purchased 59 vehicles out of sheriff's funds, not commission budgeted funds, sheriff's funds. Those 59 vehicles, $1,578,847 that he has paid out of his fund that has not cost this county commission a dime. Since he's been in office, Houston County Commission has purchased 13 vehicles with sheriff's funds. He's been in office 6 years. You're looking at just a little over 2 vehicles per year. Without what he has done, I don't know where we'd be at on vehicles. And again, I'm not bashing the commission. I'm just pointing facts what this sheriff has done for this county. We don't just come to you to come to you. We come to you because there's a need. You heard Lieutenant Turner today talk about day-to-day operations on patrol. He brought up some facts. We do have 7 judges and a referee, 5 circuit judges, 4 district, and 1 referee. Sheriff brought that up. We have 3 full-time personnel in court and 2 part-time. So the part-timers aren't even there for 40 hours a week. We have used all of our possible assets as far as personnel, school resource officers. Anytime they're out of school, we utilize them more than anything, whether it's in court, which is most of the time, or out on the road to help out. We put the week that we had graduation, 2 weeks ago, all the SROs were tied up with their schools during their activities that week. we had 6 of our road deputies in court. And we get a report from Lieutenant Lee on his request. And in May, he was requesting 4 deputies in court for multiple days, and 2 deputies in court for multiple days, and 1 deputy in court for multiple days. We don't have trials going on right now, y'all. All we have now is they're bringing their inmates over. They're not trial cases going to trial. That's fixing to change. For June, I've got 2 deputies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. That's half the workable days of the month. If you work about 20 days a month, as far as actually look at 4 weeks, 5 days a week. So here's the deal: we cannot, as a sheriff's department, continue to try to work without this manpower. We asked at the beginning of this budget year, we came and sat down with each one of you and stated we needed 12 deputies. But there's a reason we asked for 12. It's because there's a need for 12. We actually started this discussion back before the COVID set in, and was working up to where we were at. And then with everything with the COVID, everything just sort of fell on the back burner. But we're fixing to be off the back burner. We're fixing to be off the stove. We're fixing to be in the grease and on the fire. We don't have the manpower we need to take care of what our responsibilities are going to be when we go back into full force in September in court. We're having to pull 1 and 2 and 4 right now, 6 on occasion. And if it wouldn't have been for the SROs, which we won't have after school starts, where am I going to pull them from? Where are we going to pull them from? We have nobody answering the call. Your house getting broke into out in Wicksburg, much deputy or 2 deputies are out in Gordon. It's going to be a long time for them to get your house. And I'm not leaving Wicksburg. So here's the bottom line. Where are they going to come from? Do we quit working cases? Do I put investigators back on the road? Do I pull all the 2 new deputies we got down here that's under law and put them up to the courthouse? Do we pull the deputies out of school, put them back on the road? What do we do to cover? We asked for 12. I'm asking for 4 deputies right now for the rest of this budget year and for the future. And it's been proposed to, in our budget, for 12 or 15 more. That's before we approach you on these 4. Those numbers will change, of course. If it was 12, then I'll ask for 8 when we do our budget. So, no, we come to you today because we've got a major problem. And the major problem is taking care of the citizens the way that we're supposed to. By law, by responsibility, by good faith. We need help, y'all. And you guys are the only ones that can help us. It's our county commission. Sheriff, you have anything?
The Alabama law says that sheriff's department is supposed to provide security for the courthouses. Well, being Judge Davenport's in this bill, this is a Mann Act, so we have to cover this also. Other sheriffs put 1 deputy on the front door, and that's it. We got too much going on. We're bigger than the other counties. We got too much going on. Put 1 deputy on the front door. First of all, it's not safe, and bottom line is, when disaster happens, they're gonna be the first ones here. So.
I think that's all. Thank you for your time.
All right. Any questions from the commission or comments?
I got several things written down. I don't know if you want to go over all of them today or not.
Okay.
Let you do that.
I got several too,
So posting a deputy to check temperatures, does it have to be a deputy? That's my question. And I'm not asking you to accuse you of, because I think that it does. I'm asking because I have no idea. Like, does it have to?
So we have a deputy up there because we have no other personnel to keep it. Not only that, with everything going on right now and the uncertainties, it's a little bit more of a safe haven for our clerical people at the front door that are not, they're not on. We had some come in the other day that was trying to cause some issues. So, I mean, it really is right now. We started this to safeguard, just like downstairs, to safeguard the employees of the building. And if somebody has a temperature, then we're asking them to leave.
I know that, I was on I talked to Peter and the chairman about this morning. If you have a law enforcement expense that is directly related, and who knows what interpretation that is, it's just directly related to COVID-19 for right now, it's reimbursement. So that might be something we can check into. If you have to have somebody with us, somebody else checking the temperature because of COVID-19, I would say it's directly related to COVID-19 and therefore should be reimbursable by the federal government. So that might be a solution. That's something we all have to work out.
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, probably above mine too. I know of it, but not how to actually can't. One comment and then another question. So you talk about, where are these deputies going to come from? What are we going to do to cover it? And I think you know this. We're really in the same boat. So I don't think any commissioner, including the chairman up here, is against, in theory, hiring more deputies. I would love to be able to do that because speeding is another complaint that I get from law enforcement. But the question I have is that we have to figure out is where's that money going to come from? Because we can't print money. So if we're going to give you more resources, it's got to come from some other department. You got to cut his budget. You got to cut probate budget. You got to cut our budget. You got to cut some budget. And I know you know that. And then the last question I have is: have we ever looked at hiring a business management consultant to work with the sheriff's department to evaluate their staffing needs as it relates to trying to do things as efficiently as possible? I know that in private industry, if you have a growing department or if you're unable to meet the demands of a business, a lot of times you hire a business management consultant to come in and say, hey, look, this is the challenges that we're facing. This is what we're not able to get to. How can we do this with the resources that we have?
I'll answer that. Your cousin, I spoke to him on the phone about coming in and doing that to our department. Right now, I don't see where they're going to find we're going to save any money to come in.
That's not what they do. That was
well, I'm just telling you. I don't see where right now I can justify everything going on with our department, manpower wise, why they're needed and why where they're at. I understand y'all talking about the money issue, but like I said, where would I be at if I didn't spend $1.6 million on vehicles that came out of our discretionary funds and not from y'all? How many deputies could I have hired for $1.6 million?
Well, initially, it's fully loaded.
It's about 16, isn't it?
Well, I would say it's 150 going forward for a deputy. It's different than deputy, fully loaded deputy, different than.
I've tried every way I know since I've been in office. I realized very quickly what you need and what you want is two different things. And I've watched others before me that spend every last penny they got to the very end of the budget, and I didn't. And I watched the others before me, and none of them has ever bought vehicles. discretionary money. They always came to y'all. I tried to do everything I can to work with y'all, in every possible way. Like I said, returning money at the end of the year and these vehicles. All I'm asking is for, get us out of the jam right now, and we'll talk again when it comes budget time. But the four are definitely needed, especially with COVID-19, all the stress that's going on, because I had to have at least 20 deputies yesterday. And plus, we're fixing to go back every week for the rest of the year, criminal court. So there's no way, the only way I'm gonna be able to function that is to pull all the deputies out of the courthouses, leave one in each one, and leave the courthouse unsecured.
Maybe we can see if we can apply for some of those federal funding, federal funds to cover the crunch. And then I guess the really hard stuff is stuff that we're all going, we all have to work on, figure out what we can do. That's all.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I commend you, Sheriff, on the way y'all run the operation and reducing the cost and saving the county money and having money available for y'all's operation. I sure do. But your point is right on with the backlog of court cases is fixing to start coming in September when they open back up. I can't imagine what's going to.
They're talking about running traffic court till nighttime.
Yeah, yeah. And I think back before COVID came in, Major Rabbit and I talked and with Peter and trying to compromise, and I think my suggestion was at least two. That's back in February, March that we first talked about it. But I can see after the review and Lieutenant Turner giving the presentation that he did, the need. Also, I don't know having another person to do a temperature check here. We still need the two deputies. So you're not eliminating. So I mean, it's just the population in the county is growing. The need is there. A lot more criminal cases, and I certainly understand where you're coming from. And you know, we can work something out. The COVID the CARES Act has come up. We're going to be able to tap into some of that, but as how we're going to be able to utilize that money that's coming through the state is written down exactly how it's going to be utilized. But if we can tap into some of that to use that for increased hiring of deputies, I will look into it. But I commend y'all on what you do.
I would like to keep doing the COVID-19 checks to at least January. And if you look at ours, Houston County, how many people have we lost right now for COVID-19? When we're checking periodically, y'all had standards we were going by. I think we've been very, very, very blessed on what we've had and not getting more into our buildings.
And excuse me, you know, we talked about the money's turned back in the vehicles, and that total figured $2,713,196 to share this savings.
Any other comments? All right, a couple things. You know, we've been talking about these deputies for a while, and you know, if anybody knows that and has spoken up for that, it's certainly this commission. And actually, I think the number we need is 15, not 12. We talked about it. We've actually talked about on a couple occasions how to get those, but the plans to do that just simply were not able to be accomplished at whatever level we weren't able to be accomplished at. We've been willing to put forward that, you know, I'm not going to get into whys and all that, but we have shown our mindset is we know that you need the deputies. I don't know, what is that noise? Somebody's phone alarm going off. You know, the issue is the monies and we've added a few here and a few there. You know, we added the 2 downstairs. We worked out the deal with the schools to add some, but it doesn't get us to where we need to get. The only way to get to where we need to get is to create the revenue that it needs to go with it. So, you know, we keep having the same discussion, and now we are at a critical place where we are. I think the 4 deputies we talked about, or that you're talking about, are about a $500,000 investment, and then about $250,000, you know, ongoing for salaries and whatnot, something like that. Now, as you know, COVID has created some significant issues, and I'm just laying out the information so everybody will know. We are roughly $1 million short in revenue right now from budget. We just got information this morning that we're about, our gas tax revenue is going to be about 30% below where it needs to be, which means projects we've got ongoing for the bridge, the general fund is going to have to supplement to make that up. So those 2 things are issues. We've got, you know, we've got all these things that people are being put on you and us because of all this COVID. We're supposed to be getting reimbursed. Did you just sneeze?
I did. Yeah.
We're supposed to be getting reimbursed, but we're not going to be able to hire deputies, Commissioner, with COVID monies. The COVID monies have to be directly COVID related. Now, potentially having them, I'm thinking, you know, having them testing temperature and all that, maybe we can submit some of that, but it brings to mind back in the day, and all y'all were here, back when we used to get grants for deputies for 3 years or whatever, and we always had that understanding that in the end of the 3 years, that position was going away if the grant went away. And we've had sheriffs that agreed with that, and then we had sheriffs that didn't agree with that, and that would be the same scenario here unless we work something out. So it might get us by right now, but we've got to work on a longer term solution.
All I ask is to be open-minded,
I know.
not comment that was made at the judges' meeting. It ain't gonna happen.
Well, 15 deputies.
No. In the judges' meeting, when I mentioned the 4, you mumbled over to the side to Carla. It ain't gonna happen. All I ask you to do is be open-minded.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Let me ask the question. All these transports y'all talked about, is there any way to contract those like we just voted to contract these other things?
I don't know. These are orders of the court. And on these transports, they're criminal charges.
The ones.
Does that mean yes or no? I mean, I don't know all that, so.
The internal doesn't. They won't.
You have a certain range. to go
Wait,
through.
come. Wait, where's the microphone?
Yeah, on the transport, majority of the transports out of county are so many miles away.
Okay,
That's what the transport company does. All these internal transports
all right.
would cost, they would not be reimbursed by the state.
But
They
we-
would come out of budget. Somebody's budget.
He wants to know, can they hire a contract transport? And I don't think you can, because a lot of these transports are criminal charges by orders of the judge in that court, ordering us to take them. I mean, I don't know what the difference would be of getting a contract transport or deputy, but.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is if y'all,
For example,
can you check on, I mean, we may not.
Yeah,
we
Can you check?
can't, I know the answer, sir. We can't, when the court orders us to go to William Donaldson and pick up a capital murder inmate and bring him back for court, that court order is written for the Houston County Sheriff's Office to do that order. The transport companies don't deliver them back for those necessities on those things. They only do the transports back and forth. If this place picks them up at a jail for a warrant, then the transport company will pick them up from that jail and transport them to our jail. But when it's picking them up from a state penitentiary that we have to do, you have to have armed law enforcement there with credentials to be able to pick up that inmate and transport them back. Contract companies don't meet those requirements.
All right, what about the
You're in a very touchy situation dealing with juveniles. And most time the orders that come in through the judge at the time, like Judge Davenport, it's now. It's not wait 10 days or 14 days or 2 days. You take them now.
Okay, what about, and I'm asking this because I know, Barkley is way behind over there. I know it's not law enforcement, but we're right behind over there. He's needing his crew and all that, but he's using overtime to get by. Are y'all using overtime to, how does that work?
We're using overtime constantly. We're going to be able to budget on overtime.
Yeah.
We're probably almost going to, I didn't look at it this morning, but we're probably going to come into almost doubling our overtime. 4 years over with. Just dealing with manpower issues, shortages. In situations like this last 2 weekends where with the protesters, we have to be prepared and ready just in case. You're looking at personnel being out on overtime on that. Dispatch, our overtime isn't just the sheriff's department per se, it's the deputies. It covers dispatch and everything else. And our dispatchers we're getting there, but it's been very challenging. It's challenging across the board to get the right people in position. Deputies, we used to have a staff this call with certified officers who want to come to work. With everything going on, we recruit and everything else to try to find a good qualified deputy to come to work to save time to get them on the road without sending them to the law enforcement academies, then all the additional training. It's almost impossible. You may get one. We just, it's been very difficult trying to fill slots.
All right, well, I know nobody knows, but some of this is COVID related, so none of us know how long that's gonna last. Then what, I guess, nobody knows that. All right, so I guess my suggestion, we can't, I don't think we're in a position to vote one way or the other today, but what I would like us to do is, obviously this is a time sensitive issue based on what's going to happen in September. So what I would like us to do is possibly get the commission together between now and the next meeting and let us probably in a work session situation talk about what we want to do and put this on the next agenda as an official request or of some sort, and then we can do several things. We can have all the numbers of costs and all that. We can find out about COVID reimbursement or whatever numbers we have out there. Any other questions that have been raised here? And then we'll put it on the next agenda if that works with all you gentlemen, and we can either do it or not do it, or figure out an alternative.
Chairman, when's the next commission meeting?
22nd.
22nd.
2 weeks from today.
Okay. Well, we've been on that strange scheduling with all.
Yeah, we've been only having one commission meeting a month, but we're trying to do 2 this month. So, and we've definitely got some things on there. So, and I will say what everybody else said. This sheriff has done an outstanding job with this budget. We would expect you to be under budget, but you've done a really good job handling that, and with your did you say with your money that's your money, and
Sure, it's discretionary.
Yeah, discretionary. Yeah, y'all have been good, really good to work with, and doesn't change that we're $1 million short in our budget right now. I mean, it is what it is, but we just gotta figure it out. So, other questions or comments?
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Commissioner. Chair.
Major Ratty on the court, four deputies for the court, security. I think we're in discussion here back early March, the sheriff would purchase the vehicles. Is that correct? I'm just trying to make it a little bit more understandable for the commission to know that there's less money and the increase in overtime that's going to be through on out the year will offset some of that for the new deputies.
Yeah, as far as vehicles and equipment, we'll furnish everything there that we have in-house. We've got some vehicles. I know Mark would be glad for us to get them off the things out of the county yard. There are spares, but we're not asking $105,000 per deputy.
Right.
For a new vehicle, for everything new. We'll absorb that in our budget this year, the rest of this year.
Bottom line is, you furnish 4 deputies, we'll furnish 3.
That's what I'm trying to let the commissioners see.
What we need to do before the work session, which today's Monday, it'll have to be next week now for timing purposes, but is you two, if you will, get together and the actual request for 4 deputies, put the dollar figure to it, so we'll have that. What is?
Yes.
All right, then that's what we'll do, and there's not any necessary action, but we'll do that and move forward and put it on the next agenda one way or the other.
All right, thank you.
All right. Item number 7, request to award bid to place guardrail for in-place guardrail, the lowest bidder meeting specs. Motion by Commissioner Shue. Second by Commissioner Herring. Questions, comments, discussion? Go right there. Comments, Mr. Engineer? Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Number 8, request to enter into construction agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for the resurfacing of North Broad Street and Missi Road from US 84 to State Road 52. That's a long one.
I'll make a motion already.
Motion by Commissioner Singfield, second by, this goes into Commissioner Harvey, right? Commissioner Harvey? Yes. Questions or comments?
Yeah,
What kind of funds is this?
MPO.
Missi Road. I was thinking further out, I was gonna say that was not in the MPO area. It's MPO funds. Any questions or comments? Yes, sir. Don't ask when it's gonna happen.
No,
I mean, appropriate.
I think in the contract here, it said the county would relocate any utilities with project improvements. Is that something that we do
It's in every project. If there's utility,
in that,
yeah, but we'll resurface the roads, so there's no utility.
that we won't have to
That's
deal with
standard.
that?
That's just standard language.
Standard language.
Okay. Thank you.
All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9, request to enter into a construction agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation for the resurfacing of South Park Avenue from Taylor Road to Ross Clark Circle.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Herring, second by Commissioner Singfield. Question. Now, we're not gonna do this until we finish the roundabout.
That's correct.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure we wouldn't. I know we wouldn't, but make everybody else know that we would not resurface it and then finish the roundabout. Which MPO funds again? Which, by the way, the roundabout should
get moving really good. Next week still the plan?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Good. All right, you hear that, Commissioner Gary?
Yes, sir, I do. It's very good.
Questions, comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 10, request to adopt resolution for the resurfacing of Jordan Avenue from Ruth Circle to Enid Road using MPO funds. Now, why does that one say using MPO?
This is just starting paperwork.
Okay.
Others are open, or they've actually been lit.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Singfield.
Second.
Second by Commissioner, Commissioner. Second by Commissioner Shute, number 10. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 11, request to adopt resolution for the resurfacing of Ashford Road from Enid Road to Ben Ivey Road using MPO funds. Question by Commissioner Singfield.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harry. Comments, discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 12, request to approve final plat for Park Ridge Subdivision Phase 4.
Motion.
By Commissioner Harry. Second by Commissioner Singfield. Park Ridge is on
So,
Park Avenue. That's that good size one. Isn't it?
big one out there.
Okay. Any questions for Brittany?
I do have a comment.
I got a comment.
Well, I'm sorry. This, ahead of some of the changes we just made to subdivision regulations, this group of developers wanted to go ahead and do it where they do overlay in 2 years or at 70 or 80% capacity. So the surface that is there right now, the asphalt that is there right now is not the final surface. They will come back and resurface in 2 years or at a higher capacity.
Okay, Commissioner Harry, let all your constituents know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, well, it's a binder. It is sitting below the curb and gutter, so it will look different for a little while until they get that.
Okay, this is different as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just make sure.
Any other questions? I messed with you today.
Yeah, there's another one just in case.
All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 13, request to approve final plat for Bear Creek subdivision.
That is the subdivision off of County Road 9. The two streets, it's our new subdivision with the larger acreage lots, the 2.5 acres, 250 feet of road frontage.
Motion by Commissioner Shute.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Singfield. Questions, comments, discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 14, request to approve budget amendment for Wicksburg Road resurfacing project. Can you explain that?
Well, this is that military project we talked about years ago, and it finally just came to fruition. And what we have to do is we have to pay for it 100%, and then we get reimbursed 90% in a grant, basically. So we had to put the money in there to pay for it up front, and then there's revenue to offset 90% of that cost.
So this is just a budget amendment, and this is not really money.
Yes. Well, it's 10%. 10% of it is, yeah.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Shute.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harry. Questions, comments, discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 15, request to approve budget amendment for Rebuild Alabama road work. That is a very broad item to be on the agenda. You want to be more specific than that?
Somebody informed me to keep that kind of thing. That is, that's our bond. resurfacing bond.
Oh, okay.
And we have already paid 2 roads, I believe. And we didn't have a budget to pay them. So we got with Peter and, we're putting the total amount in there, we probably won't spend it all this year. I guess we'll just roll it the next year and then the next year, so.
I got you. So this is actually budgeting the money that we
Yes.
did the bond issue for to pay, to do the Rebuild Alabama project.
Yes.
I got you. Okay. Questions? Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Shue, second by Commissioner Singfield. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Number 16 is appointment to the Houston County Water Authority. Harvey.
So move, Ronnie Davis.
What, Ronnie Davis? Ronnie Davis. So the Ronnie Davis, I know.
He was there.
Right. All right, we have a motion to appoint Ronnie Davis to the Houston County Water Authority. Second. By Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Harry. Questions, comments, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Staff reports, Mr. Chief Administrative Officer.
Nothing to report today.
Mr. County Engineer.
During all this COVID thing, we have paid, Old 431, we paid Broad Street, those were rebuild money. We paid Cumby Road, and we paid Willie Barnum, we've done the shoulder work on all those roads during all this. So we've been working the whole time, it's just been out and about work. Our next rebuild roads, there's 6 of them, it'll be Day Road, Peacock Road, Otis Bowie Road, Fuller, Johnny Murphy, and Littlefield. And they're gonna start on those Monday next week.
Start on those paving or cross training?
Paving, we've already done the cross training thing. So we have 2 closed roads right now, County Road 81 and Windmill. And 81, we got it paved last Friday, had supposedly all the rain. We're doing shoulder work on it, should open it in the next day or 2. So that project should be complete.
Okay, so then Windmill will be going in.
Yes.
All right, Mr. County Attorney, questions for the staff? Commissioners. All right, anything else from the commission? For the good of the all. All right, then we will stand in adjournment. Thank you. I will advise you all, or I get Jackie to check with y'all when you can meet, maybe next Monday. I don't have my calendar, but are we on time next Monday? Put it in town next Monday. Hey, no, that.
Y'all have some fun then.
This is. It needs to be. And I know the last page needs to be. I didn't touch it.
Okay.
Because Bill's name. Thank you very much. You see anything else? Let me know. Let me make sure you understand. Absolutely, I understand. Yeah, I understand. But all these in here, say it should be pretty good. Yeah. But, so I think, look good, I think I'm not all the correct. That's yours, this is mine.
They're getting me the legal. Got all right away.
That is,
This becomes another day, right?
He's gone.
I didn't know if I had one up here. That's okay.
Please do. Yes, sir.
We can force it.
I just got there when I'm saying. I'm trying to be every, it is.
Yeah, I know, right?
I called it hard in the morning.
We gonna do it again. So, we got me. Yeah, don't think about it.
It's in the dark legal ordinance.
And I understand the legislation.
We left it at the queue. Okay, so, let's make it a decision, 1:30.
Well, the
You said anytime after 11?
Well, that was on Thursday for Heavenly Days.
No, that was Sunday. When was that we were talking?
I don't know.
And my calendar's upstairs, so I make this event, I can't promise.
I'm available.
1:30?
Yeah.
All right, what, do I have anything that you're showing that I have?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's on. I don't know if they got an order.
I'll run upstairs. Okay.
The only question I have,
You need me?
Yeah, they can go to that. Yes, we got to pay bids out. Yes, you know, whatever.
I get that, Sherry.
If you have it.
Well, that's what we'll do. I'll give Sherry. So,
Do you think it's possible to take a talk to your guys?
We got the other side of
We don't, it's still sitting in region. It's not in.
Hey.
I want, if we get that money moved into, we have to write a check. You don't have, you can't write a check. And it's only came out with the general. So what we need to do is, the easiest way for us is to get that money paid back to us, and it's a, we can swap checks. Once we get.
Yeah, they'll do that, but I don't understand how if we got a PO out of something, that's paid out of something else, because that's not the way the PO should work.
Well, but there's no money for that PO to be paid from on that other account, the 220, because that cash was not available to be drawn. It's, you know, I recognize that you said, you know, take that money out of the account, but Nancy hasn't set up the bank account at a draw e-bank where we can write a check.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do that.
I'm not asking you to do anything.
Yeah.
Different, just here, let me give you this check instead of that, can you give me that check back?
When do we write the check?
It's a couple weeks ago.
I'm sure that's fast.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, I mean, that's not a problem. You know, when we get that, when it gets set up into that bank account that we can draw it out of, then I will get back to you, we can talk about the numbers.
Yeah, because I don't know, I mean, it's not in there.
It's
not in the bank account that we can draw a check out. We've got the money, when the bond closed, money went to Regions as the trustee. But we can't draw off that money. That money has to move to a bank that has a bank account.
Yeah, no, I get that, I don't understand why they haven't moved it to the bank account, we haven't asked them to.
We have, Nancy had